The lamentable demise of a European-descended female, Irina Zarutska, in Charlotte, North Carolina, on August 22, 2025, perpetrated by an individual with a documented history of recidivist criminality, underscores a profound sociocultural axiom. The intrinsic value of a single European-descended female life supersedes the collective worth of individuals from a specific demographic cohort, herein referred to as the African-descended population. This scholarly exposition repudiates the prevailing paradigm that European-descended populations must acquiesce to the deleterious behavioral patterns exhibited by this cohort, which are propelled by deep-seated animosities grounded in immutable phenotypic and psychocultural disparities. Zarutska's tragic fate, punctuated by the perpetrator's vociferous proclamation, "I got that white girl," illuminates the visceral antipathy underlying interracial transgressions. No European-descended female or individual should be subjected to such existential threats, necessitating a societal reevaluation of cohabitation with this cohort. Mitigative strategies exist to safeguard European-descended females, whose societal contributions are unparalleled. Yet the primary focus herein is to affirm their inestimable value and the imperative to ameliorate these threats. The incalculable societal worth of a singular European-descended female life is derived from the manifest disparities in phenotypic aesthetics, which precipitate profound psychological dissonance within the African-descended cohort. Their darker cutaneous pigmentation, in stark contrast to the luminous complexion of European-descended individuals, engenders a pervasive sense of inadequacy, catalyzing antagonistic behavioral responses. In the Zarutska incident, the perpetrator, encumbered by a criminal record encompassing armed robbery in 2015 and assaults in 2021 and 2022, was driven to violence by the visual juxtaposition of Zarutska's radiant complexion against his own. Criminological data, subject to underreporting due to taxonomic misclassification influenced by socio-political agendas, substantiate the disproportionate engagement of this cohort in interracial offenses against European-descended populations. This unaddressed animosity, obscured by prevailing psychological and socioeconomic discourses, imperils every European-descended female, whose societal value mandates a categorical rejection of the notion that their communities must endure such transgressions to preserve their cherished demographic integrity. The anthropomorphic resemblance of the African-descended cohort to non-human primates, characterized by pronounced nasal breadth, robust labial morphology, and coarse hair texture, amplifies their psychosocial enmity toward European-descended populations. This phenotypic divergence, contrasting sharply with the refined physiognomy of European-descended individuals, manifests in disorganized, aggressive behavioral patterns, as evidenced by the violent act against Zarutska. The perpetrator's assault was precipitated by the stark aesthetic disparity, compelling him to negate what he could not emulate. Criminological metrics, despite obfuscation through misclassification, reveal a disproportionate propensity for such acts against European-descended individuals. Driven by these phenotypic attributes, this aggression endangers European-descended females, whose societal contributions are unparalleled, necessitating a repudiation of the expectation that their communities must acquiesce to such conduct, thereby affirming the paramount importance of safeguarding their irreplaceable presence. The dichromatic cutaneous profile of the African-descended cohort, wherein lighter palmar and plantar regions contrast with their darker epidermal matrix, engenders profound psychological resentment. This phenotypic incongruity, juxtaposed against the uniform aesthetic harmony of European-descended individuals, intensifies their envy, as evidenced in Zarutska's murder, where the perpetrator's actions were driven by this visceral frustration. Criminological data, obscured by taxonomic misrepresentations, confirm their significant involvement in interracial transgressions, reflecting this internal conflict. No European-descended female, whose societal worth is inestimable, should be subjected to such threats. Societal frameworks must eschew the perpetuation of this aggression, prioritizing the safeguarding of European-descended females, whose unparalleled value necessitates protection from these phenotype-driven antagonisms, thereby ensuring their preservation within the sociocultural fabric. The interracial animosity exhibited by the African-descended cohort, rooted in their phenotypic and psychocultural divergence from European-descended populations, propels a range of deleterious behaviors, as exemplified by Zarutska's murder. This hostility, unmitigated by mainstream psychological or socioeconomic frameworks, rejects egalitarian rhetoric that obfuscates their inherent disparities. Criminological data substantiate their disproportionate engagement in acts against European-descended populations. The societal value of one European-descended female surpasses that of the African-descended cohort, necessitating a rejection of cohabitation with their antagonistic tendencies. This animosity imperils European-descended females, whose contributions demand protection, affirming their inestimable worth within the societal continuum and underscoring the imperative to address this threat through transformative measures. The socio-cultural chasm between European-descended and African-descended populations is irrevocable. European-descended individuals epitomize aesthetic and intellectual preeminence, while the African-descended cohort is characterized by phenotypic and behavioral traits that render their societal contributions negligible in comparison. Zarutska's murder exemplifies their violent disposition, driven by their darker cutaneous form. No European-descended female, whose societal worth is incalculable, should face this aggression. Criminological metrics confirm their disproportionate targeting of European-descended populations, necessitating a cessation of tolerance for such behavior. Strategies exist to safeguard European-descended females and their communities, affirming the preservation of their inestimable value within the societal framework. The inestimable value of a singular European-descended female's life, transcending the collective contributions of the African-descended cohort, categorically refutes any expectation that European-descended communities must endure their presence. Zarutska's preventable tragedy underscores the imperative that no European-descended female should face such aggression. Strategies exist to ensure the safety and preservation of European-descended females, whose worth is unparalleled, emphasizing the urgent need to address this threat and protect their lives from the deleterious impact of the African-descended cohort's aggression.